So this is from John Anderson. This is 5 months ago. And I've come to this because, like all human beings, I struggle when I see conflict in the world. Not because I feel emotionally attached to the people who are struggling, because that would be naive. I don't know the people in Ukraine. I don't know the people in the Gaza Strip, Palestine. I don't know the people in Israel. I have no connection that I'm aware of to anyone in that region. So sometimes I don't have the disturbing logic of the left. I don't have any disturbing logic. I just have curiosity and the desire to understand it, so that if I don't want to pursue it, if I don't feel it's relevant to me, or if I don't want to make it part of my daily existence to address this problem, then I can at least understand why I don't want to, or why I do want to. And I think that's going to be part of this. I know Melanie Phillips is. This isn't a critique of what's being said. This is me trying to evaluate what is being said, and do I store that information, and what do I do with it? What do I do with viewpoints that are offered by the likes of John Anderson, former Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, well respected. So we'll listen to it. I'm not here to say that's wrong, that's right. It's simply, what am I thinking and what's my response as I hear it, and I'll talk them out loud. And I'll have criticised myself, and I may criticise the viewpoint here or agree with the viewpoint here. I don't mean criticise, I mean evaluate it critically, which is different.
And conceives of itself as being good because it's liberal. Mm-hmm. The Western liberal tells him or herself, I'm a good person because I'm liberal. I'm liberal because I'm a good person, which means that I believe in things like the brotherhood of man, conscience and compassion.
So is she referring to the Western liberal that we see now? Not the libertarian, not the left of centre, the right of centre, or someone who can be apolitical but have a consensus opinion. I think she's going to be referring to ideologically possessed, which you can be on the right and you can be on the left, make no mistake. So I think she's referring to those who are ideologically possessed to the point where reason and rationality don't matter. It's the ideology, not the nuance, not the context, not the reflective practice of looking at something, thinking about it, and then offering an informed opinion, even if you might be wrong, accepting that you could be wrong. Yeah.
Looking after the wretched of the world, the mm-hmm. poor and the wretched of the world, standing up against abuses of power. These are all good things, mm-hmm. and that's why I'm a liberal. And I'm a liberal because of all these good things. So, one of the expressions of my goodness and my liberalism is that I support the Palestinian Arabs, who I think are an oppressed people, and they are oppressed by the Israelis, who have taken their land away from them, and they are oppressing them. Now, every part of that, in my view, is a lie. But put that to one side. Okay. This is what the liberal progressive thinks. And the liberal progressive thinks that support...
The ideologically possessed liberal progressive who refuses to engage in reflective critical evaluation of their own beliefs. Or if they do, it's based on just one ideology, as in, I'm right, you're wrong. Yeah. And I've been there. And I'll be there again on different viewpoints. And I use this as a way of saying to myself, and you guys can tell me what you think, oh, I'm absolutely off the chart. I'm just running away with what Gadzad calls sort of suicidal empathy. Because at my core nature, I don't want people to suffer. Nobody does. I don't want children or families to be uprooted and hurt. Even if I can't control it, I don't like it. I don't like looking at it. But I can't take it to the stage where I just ignore everything and just focus in on that and nothing else matters. I don't have any context. I don't have any nuance. Yeah.
Supporting the Palestinians is therefore something that makes the liberal progressive a good person. October 7 happened. Mm-hmm. And suddenly you have a situation in which the people that the liberal progressive has supported as being oppressed, and everything they do is a legitimate defence or resistance.
No, they just hate. It's not liberal progressiveness, it's liberal hate, in my view. Hate of themselves. Take any issue and they'll absolutely be diametrically opposed to reasoned debate. They just won't have it. That's who she's talking about.
Against oppression, suddenly we can see that those people have turned into the most bloodthirsty savages that could ever be imagined. Not just people who kill, but who slaughter in a sadistic, barbaric, debauched and depraved fashion that people can't imagine.
And people denied it happened on the day, or the amount of severity attached to what happened on the day, regardless of the fact there was an incursion into that arena, into that area, regardless of the fact there were recorded deaths. They just played gymnastics in their brain to excuse, to obfuscate, to minimize, to justify. And that doesn't matter whether it's in Africa, it doesn't matter where in the world it is. Those who see it as something they believe to be just ideologically, they'll do all of that. And I would do that, but I'll do that in lesser scenarios. Like, being jokey aside, like my football team gets beat 4-0. Initially, I'll absolutely say they were this rubbish and that and this and that and the other. But to the other team, I'd say, but if we'd done that in the 5th minute, we could have done that, and that might have been a different result. You guys know what I'm getting at? So in the sports arena, everybody can say objectively that my team was bad because I support them, they were bad. And everybody in the outside starts saying it. I'll say, no, but I'll make arguments that aren't rational. I'll know they're not rational. And at my core, but once my core has been eroded so much that I've lost that reason to ability, I've been possessed by an ideology that I can't reason, then I don't even have that reflex to think about it. I just say what's emotional to me. And that's your suicidal empathy, which Gadsad talks a lot about. People have co-opted that statement and use it and don't credit him. It comes from him. And he'll cite where he's got that hypothesis from in his books. So this is suicidal empathy at its core. And this is 5 months ago, so I guess it may be not being referred to by then. I know Gadsad was talking about it. Guys need to go and look him up. Whether you agree with him or not, academically he's solid. He'll tell you why. He'll cite, his books do that.
Ever happening. They have slaughtered, raped, beheaded, tortured, burned alive, babies, children, women.
And if you remember, that was denied. That didn't happen, according to the people who were opposed to this. That didn't happen.
Elderly men and others, and in which the people that they have supported as being oppressed are good people because they're victims, are these...
So if you take 100 outsiders who don't have an opinion or not invested and they just read the news, their instant reaction is going to be, oh, good Lord, what's happened? That's horrific. It doesn't even matter where it is in the world. They see that on the news, remove the banner of Israel-Palestine and just blank that out and just give that bit of news and everyone will be like, oh no, reasonable. Then you put in the banner and then you add context that meets your emotional need, then suddenly it becomes a real problem if you're possessed ideologically.
Savages. And the people they have represented as oppressors are the victims.
Yeah.
They can't have that. Because if they have that, if they admit that that is the case, then their entire worldview is shattered because the people, the cause they have supported as representing goodness is shown to be evil.
Yeah.
And what does that make them? It makes them evil. So they can't have it. So what do?
And it is all about them. It's never about the cause. Genuinely, I believe that when you're possessed ideologically, and I use the word possessed, it's not mine. Other people have talked about this greater than I have, great minds. It doesn't matter what is you're talking about as long as it's your viewpoint that you're attacking that viewpoint with. It doesn't matter what the scenario is, whether it's the horrific events of October 7. It could be anywhere in the world as long as it meets your criteria as a possessed ideological leftist, then you'll jump on board with the oppressor victim narrative and you'll bring everything else in, then you'll go off, you'll be tangential and you say, and that also means because we do this and that's what happens in our country that mirrors this. This right's being abused because that's what happens. Do you see what I'm saying? Literally, everything you hate about your own country, you can put into one bundle and say, that's an example of what I hate, and also my own country. And that's what you'll see. Or that's what I've witnessed. There's things I don't like about what happened that day. There's things I don't like what's happening in Israel and Palestine. But I don't get to be the arbiter of what should happen. That's it. I'm not that person. I haven't got that power. I wouldn't want it even if you gave it to me, because I wouldn't know how to handle it.
They go to extraordinary lengths to pretend that black is white, that justice is injustice, that oppression is resistance, and vice versa. So they have to represent the Israelis as being at fault. The Israelis are to blame for what's happened. So
a friend asked me the other day, what do I think? And I said, okay, I'm in a struggle point now, because now I don't know where the line is with Palestine and Israel. I'm not condemning Israel, and I've condemned Palestine for its actions. I can see that. And I'm not condemning Israel, but I'm now in that area where I'm not sure what this is about. Not what it's about fundamentally to the Israelis, to the Jewish world. No, it's what it's about to me. And when I'm struggling with it, I just have to sit back and go, okay, I can't adopt, I don't have any, my empathy can't reach out to how a Jewish person would feel. My empathy can't reach out to how an Arab Israeli, an Arab Palestinian might feel. Because it's too much. I can't absorb it. So I just look at the actions. And I said, I'm struggling now. It's this long in. I'm beginning to become questioning my own narrative about what was just, what seemed to be just at the beginning. I don't know so much now. Now, I'm not leaning into we need to stop, we need to do this, we need to do that. I'm just questioning myself. So I'm taking myself back 6 months here as to what was said then, so I can go away and think about it. Because I'm still not going to have any effect, only on me. The effect will only be on me. I can't change what's happening in that part of the world. I have no authority. I don't want the authority. I don't believe I have any right to comment on it in terms of change it, just on how I think versus how I feel.
there is no better way of blaming people than accusing them of the very thing they are the victim of.
Projection.
Yeah.
Projection. So you accuse them of genocide. We hear it also regularly. The Israelis are accused of being Nazis. It's the same thing. It's not simply an offensive thing. It's a very deliberate thing because
it's losing its impact. And I lived in Germany for 5 years. And, you know, that lest we forget, we will not forget. It's on their curriculum. They're taught, they remind themselves to the point of, but 100 years from now, will they still be doing that? Do they still need to do that? And that's, so the word Nazi, and there is far right, there's far right here, there's far right everywhere in the world. And I remember when Jordan Peterson said it years ago, he said, everyone knows who the far right are. They've put them in a box, put them on a shelf saying, do not engage. Well, the left tries to pull everyone into that box. That guilt trip isn't working. And it's driving people who aren't reasoning with themselves absolutely to unhealthy scenarios in their own brain. And that's what you're talking about, becoming bloodthirsty themselves, I suspect. And I can see why. When things don't have the same meaning there's no consensus anymore. You know, it's just everything's this, everything's that. So everything's racist, everything's homophobic, everything's transphobic, everything's this phobic, or everything is to the extreme. And there's no middle ground, there's no context. And I feel that, so I'm searching for context so I can have at least a sense of not being comfortable, but understanding an opinion I'll have or I'll form over the next few weeks, months, rest of the day, I don't know, on what I believe I think of the Israeli-Palestine situation now. But that doesn't make me right. But at least I can be comfortable and settled with that and not project it onto other people. I'm not going to try and convince someone else that I'm right. Just convince myself that I've at least reached a settled position for myself. And when you get a lot of that's when you start to get consensus. Everyone saying, okay, we've got a consensus, but you're not allowed to have one now because it's so extreme on either side.
If the Israelis are Nazis, then we are free. We, the liberal West, are free of any kind of guilt or any kind of association with bad things, because they are to blame. They are the people who are bad. And so we are free to continue with our fantasies of us being good people.
The political liberal West, the political media, liberal media, the far left media, whatever you want to call it, they've had control of the narrative. And you guys have read all this. If you're looking at this, you're thinking, okay, I've seen that, I've read this, I've done that, I think that. So she's not talking about a consensus here. She's talking about, in my opinion, when she says the liberal West, it's everybody. It's the media, it's the politicians, each with their own reasons, not necessarily all actually true to the... I can actually accept someone who will not back down, who says, this is my heartfelt opinion, this is what I believe, you won't change my mind. But media changes its mind every day, just to meet its own need to make money, to stay relevant. And that includes the right media as well, media on the right. They'll blow with the wind as well. Make no mistake, it's more driven at the left, but eventually the right will be like that as well.
And I think that's also what lay behind these amazing scenes.
In other words, the right will turn on its own the minute it knows that's what it needs to do to stay relevant.
That we saw on social media of people with their hands tearing down the posters of the hostages. Now you have to ask yourself, what's going through the mind of someone like that? These weren't posters advertising Israel. They weren't advertising...
It's just self-gratification. That guy there, whoever he is, he's with his hot girlfriend going, if I do this, I'll get lucky. Yeah. He is meaningless in the conversation. She is the one that's driving their actions in most occasions. Yeah. Maybe they're joint, maybe they're a pair of lunatics together, I don't know. What's driving them isn't rational. There's no rational human being would take down the poster. None. This is irrational behaviour from an ideologically possessed mind, which is, and it's a hive mind. You see the liberal hive mind. He's quite cool. I don't watch him all the time, but he's right in he's right a lot of the time.
The Israeli Defense Forces. They were pictures of babies, of children, of women who had been kidnapped by bloodthirsty monsters, by savage...
Because if you tear that poster down, then you tear down the event itself. It didn't happen. These people aren't real. What they're doing is trying to erase people, the other. It's that, oh well, remove the word, remove the meaning, remove it existed. Remove the poster, remove everything about them. Then they don't exist. Not in my little pea brain. That's what it is.
Depraved savages, and were being almost certainly subjected to untold horrors.
And remember, the fascistic right's done that. Remove words, remove people. It's not unique. It's just that if you learn from history, you know the signs. And when they're tearing down that poster, they're tearing down what they think is reality, that it didn't happen. Remove the image, remove the event in their own little sad scenario of, if I take this down, then they don't exist. They can't be acknowledged if they're not there in digital print. It's ridiculous.
And yet they were torn down, and the faces of the people tearing them down were contorted very often with rage and hate. And you have to ask yourself, what's going on in the mind of that person? And it seemed to me that they had to literally, with their fingernails, tear.
They hate the fact they know it's real. That's what they're trying to tear down as reality. They know it happened. They know. So if they tear it down in that act, in that moment, it's a catharsis. It's a cathartic experience for them. It removes. They can then move on and say, well, they don't exist anymore. I've removed that problem from my thinking brain.
Tear it out of sight. It was something that could not be tolerated to be in existence at all. The
Yeah,
very
she's right.
concept of the Israeli babies and children as victims of the people they had been supporting,
Yeah.
because it contradicted the narrative
Yeah.
on which they had hung their own moral worth.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me also they were tearing the Jews out, trying to tear the Jewish people completely out of their world, out of their sight, out of their world, out of their minds, out of their thoughts,
She's more eloquent than me, but that's what I was trying to say.
and out of their consciences. That's to me what it represented. And this whole inversion of genocide thing is part of that. It is...
And I think that's a difficult argument to counter because it's been played out in front of you. Think about it rationally. What she's saying. Now, you may be opposed to that in terms of, well, it doesn't matter because they just hate the fact that that's happened. But she's absolutely, I guess she's presenting an intellectually reasonable argument. So you've got to counter that to ignore it. You've got to counter it with something better in order to not agree with it.
not just disgusting. It is not just ridiculous. It's evil. And I think it is a symptom of the evil paths into which the West has fallen through its embrace of a whole range of ideologies, a whole range of thinking, which I think has come to define what we call the liberal progressive West.
She presents a reasoned discussion for people to debate. She says, in my view, and she says, in my opinion, basically. And then she lays out what it is she believes is happening. And it's for reasonable people, not ideologically possessed, who are centre-left, centre-right on lots of issues. It's for the centre ground to say what's wrong with that argument. Now, it's 6 months later, and I've said I'm struggling with what's happening at the moment to sort of comprehend, understand, have an opinion for myself. That's all. Yeah. Interesting. 6 months later, what am I thinking? I don't think she's wrong about that at all. 6 months later, I'm struggling with what's happening now. Either side, I'm not saying I have a position, I'm just saying I'm struggling, and that's an okay place to be in. Just don't be enraged by it, be informed. And I'll keep saying that. Don't get enraged by what a clickbait gives you. Go and get informed and take away that rage, because it does you no good. Ultimately, it just eats away at you. Yeah. It's an erosion of your capacity to act rationally when you're enraged all the time. And that's what these leftists are. Enraged all the time, so they're losing rationality. They could win arguments on issues that have validity. But when you just hate everything and everyone who opposes you for no reason other than they're Nazis, basically, you've lost. And you're going to continue losing. Thanks, guys. Comments. Stay enraged. Don't stay enraged. Stay informed. Till next time, take care.